Alrighty, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Serving Nerve, where we talk about whatever we want, and today we're going to be going through non-binary cringe compilations on YouTube. They're just TikTok cringe compilations on YouTube. But yeah, I figured, what better way to get canceled than to, talk about LGBTQ situations and have disagreements. But at the end of the day, I really don't care what people identify as. I don't really care if somebody's trans or, if they identify as the other thing or whatever they're trying to do. And I don't really care what people's sexualities are. I mean, like, the way I act on my channel, I'm not really one to talk. I don't really care. But the point I want to make is that I specifically want to focus on a non-binary element of the LGBTQ community, or the people that identify as part of that community, because I find it very fascinating. Nowadays, a lot more people are willing to kind of be like, oh yeah, you're trans, cool, whatever. Or, you're gay, whatever. Nowadays, most people are like, if you identify as a chick or a dude, it doesn't matter. Nobody really gives a fuck. But when it comes to the non-binary subset of the LGBTQ community, a lot of people, I've noticed, have a particular issue with the lack of identification, more so than the actual identification of this community. So I figured, cringe compilation, we'll get the worst of people in this community, and we'll see what actually is going on here, because I really don't, pay attention to the non-binary elements of the community. So I figured today we would just go through a cringe compilation of non-binary stuff, see where it takes us. Maybe we'll agree, maybe we'll disagree. I don't really care at the end of the day. But I do kind of want to get in on the action. So yeah, let's just get into that and see where this goes.
Hi sperms, hi TikTok. I just wanted to say non-binary lesbians are valid. They can use he, him pronouns. Thank you, have a good day.
Are you identifying your audience members as sperms? So you're identifying your audience members as cum. That's amazing. We don't say dudes here. We don't say bros. We don't say broskisies. We just go for the raw materials of what makes a man really a man. Pretty sure, isn't the point of being non-binary to not ascribe to a specific gender norm or a specific sex? I get non-binary people can probably identify as whatever sexuality they want, but their own self-perception would be that they don't ascribe to a specific gender. So if you're identifying as a man or using he, him pronouns, would that make any sense? This is the problem. It's so weird and subjective when you identify as non-binary to then use gendered language or refer to yourself as gendered. It's kind of inherently contradictive, so it doesn't make any sense, dude. But the thing that I'm focusing on more is the fact that this person's calling the audience members sperm. It's fucking weird, bro.
Hey, are you a boy or a girl? Why do you need to know? Because I have to know? No, seriously, why do you need to know? Because a vagina or a dick define you as a person? Ooh, got me there. Guess I have to tell you. It is none of your fucking business.
I feel like the only people who ever ask you if you're a boy or a girl or not are in the LGBT community. I've never been asked by anybody other than on my YouTube thing or whatever if I'm a boy or a girl or not. And I don't think I've ever met anybody where I've been really questioning their gender identity, because most people do identify as either a chick or a dude. So when it comes to this whole thing, one, the only people that really ask you this, in my opinion, are actually people who identify in that community, because they're always worried about calling each other by the wrong pronouns, or they want to give people the right pronouns all the time, and they're always really paranoid about it. But at the same time, most people are not particularly reluctant to actually just give you that information. If you actually ask somebody, they'll usually answer. So I don't really understand the point of this. And then on top of that, wouldn't you not want to be making a TikTok saying that it's none of your business if you're making it literally everybody's business by making TikToks all about the fact that you don't know nor care what your gender identity is? It just doesn't make any sense, bro. So they're basically saying, my mother and my father are both Republican, and I'm a non-binary lesbian feminist. Closeted. I don't know, maybe I'm misinterpreting this, but if you're closeted, but you are willing to say all of these things like, I'm a lesbian, non-binary feminist, I don't think you're very closeted anymore.
The MBs for the MBs for the MBs. Nobody at school understands non-binary, and therefore everybody uses every pronoun, including it. We're the NBs, we're the MBs, we're the MBs. Whenever I date anybody, the person I'm dating with gets asked if they're gay or not, and it it's kind of violating.
This is an odd format to be trying to display the fact that you're non-binary, but also it's super trippy. Like, it's super trippy, bro. I'm sorry. I finished birthday-isms, and now I'm like, everything's weird. I've had a really weird, like, birthday time. Anyways, I think I'm not gonna be drinking for a while, but now I'm seeing 3 people anyways. Yeah, point being made. If you're saying you're non-binary, alright, but if you are originally, like, a chick or a dude, I feel like people will still see you as a chick or a dude a lot of the time. Hopefully that doesn't come off as a belittlement, but this is the other thing. It's like, how can I explain this without using gendered language? But anyways, if you're dating a chick and you were a chick, people will ask that chick if they're gay because they are, in the perception of the masses, dating a chick. Does that make sense? It's just basic logic. Like, I get we're always worried about, like, hurting each other's feelings on the basis of misidentifying each other, but if we're operating by the perspectives of other people, it's pretty easy to see where this starts going downhill on a logical basis, and why people will disagree with particularly the concept of being non-binary. Saying that, you could do what you want, it's just not gonna probably play in your favor if you find that people's perceptions and words affect you. If you don't care, then there's really not going to be any consequence to this.
We're the NBs, we're the NBs, we're the NBs. Whenever we get told to sit in lines of boy and girl, I always sit in the middle and everybody gets really pissed for no reason. We're the
Well, yeah, because it comes off as attention seeking. Like, I get that might not be the intention of this person, but hypothetically, if you are told, hey, go into 2 groups of people, we are going to be having these groups of people determined by gender particularly, or by sex, so male and female, then yeah, you have to pick one because they want to specifically have 2 groups of people so that they can do whatever they're doing in school. If you find that you're in the middle, people will perceive you as, there's what's their face, and they're identifying as neither boy or girl, so they just obviously want attention and to feel special because, you know, they're in their own special group. That's how children perceive things. But at the end of the day, you really can't care if you're going to do the things that you do. Like, if you decide to sit in your own personalized space and disassociate from all the other individuals on the basis of gender because you don't identify as either gender, then you're going to have to bite the bullet and face the judgment of society. So either blend in and conform, or be non-conformant and face the consequences of non-conformance. It's just logic. I was always, like, scrutinized in school for being non-conformant, but I just stopped giving a fuck because everybody else can just suck it. But when it comes to your reactions to other people perceiving you as non-conformant, that's where things go downhill. That's the issue I have with this. You're on TikTok, you know, complaining or venting about, you know, the frustrations you have as an individual, feeling, you know, different in society. But in reality, if you're going to be operating on a more taboo identification, or if you're operating with being non-binary, you do need to face a level of judgment from society, and then you'll face what it's like being the individual you are. That's just what it is. I'm not here to justify people's, like, annoyance or scrutiny towards people who decide to be non-conformant, but that's literally just the plight of being non-conformant. Like, we've all faced that before in some regard. I faced stuff like this in school, but not really to do with my gender, more to do with, like, my personality, and being, like, weird. So I get it, but all you have to do is just not care, and nothing matters anyways.
We're the NBs, we're the NBs. Popular kids think they have a right to know what's between my legs. We're the NBs, we're the NBs, we're the NBs. Whenever I tell anybody or try to explain my gender to them, they're like, that's not real, or I identify as an attack helicopter, and it's really fucking boring at this point.
Again, like, if you're gonna try and explain a different system of thought than those of the masses, you have to face the judgment of society. It's considered taboo. Like, I'm not trying to beat down on this person because they're obviously, like, a kid in high school, but, like, this is actually part of being in high school, is when you appeal to non-conformance, you have to face the judgment of society. That's, like, the most basic thing about school. So, I don't even understand. And also, people ask each other what's between their legs all the time. I say I have a cock and balls, just to confuse people. But the reality is, either don't care, or don't do things that will make you non-conformant. You can't have the best of both worlds. I would say if this is your identification, you just shouldn't care and just move on with your life. If you're going to identify how you identify, you really cannot care what people think of you regarding the matter. Otherwise, it's going to actually, like, screw up your psyche. It's going to make you feel very insecure as an individual and judged by everybody. When most people don't really care, they're all focused on themselves anyways in school.
The NBs, we're the NBs, we're the NBs. People just think that I'm a girl who changed their name to Toby. And it's kind of shit.
This is the other thing too, is it's like you pick a male name or a potentially male name. I'm pretty sure Toby's just like a male name. Change your name to a male name. You identify more on a, considered like short hair, maybe more androgynous clothing. You could be appealing to more of that perceived masculinity by your classmates. And then you were a chick. So I assume you were a chick at the time before you started identifying as whatever you identify as now. So again, you're identifying in a more gendered regard towards the other one, so people get confused and ask you like what's going on with your like gender identity. And then when you explain like, well, no, I'm neither or, I'm anything but, like I'm doing this specific thing, whatever the identification for this particular person being non-binary is. And it's like, yeah, you're gonna confuse the fuck out of people. You're also definitely gonna confuse like teenagers, like they don't care.
These were the MBs with the MBs.
Am I a boy? Am I a girl? Nobody knows. But my main purpose in life is to sexually confuse everyone who sees me.
That's a mood. Honestly, I do the same thing, and I'm not even non-binary. I just am weird. I just do weird things and stuff all the time. It's quite impressive, actually. On occasion, I'll get a comment asking me, like, hey, like, do you identify as a boy or a girl? Like, what's your identification, and also, what's your sexuality and stuff? And I'm like, I'll be whatever you want me to be. It's the internet. I can do whatever I want. Girl, boy, mommy, daddy. I don't really care. Like, and this is the thing, it's like, you just don't need to give a fuck. Like, nobody cares. Like, this is so petty. There are so many bigger things people are dealing with in their lives. How do I pay the rent next month? Or, where am I going with my life? What's my career look like? Like, how do I have, like, no friends? Things like that. And then other people are worried about their gender identities. It's, like, just a very different direction of thought. Like, I've never actually considered these things before. And I've been in situations where, like, I've had siblings who identify in the more, like, maybe non-binary or, like, trans kind of identity, or like, the LGBTQ direction. And you kind of go along with it, but and they know, and now you definitely know because it's the future, that it was a phase to get attention. So, I don't know, man. At least that's my opinion.
Purpose in life is to sexually confuse everyone who sees me.
Ayo, reality check.
Non-binary people can be lesbians. Gender does not equal sexuality. Isn't the term lesbian literally to identify particularly women as women who like other women? The definition of a lesbian is literally a woman or a girl who's attracted to other women or girls. You have to technically identify as a woman or a girl in order to identify as a lesbian. Otherwise, you're just saying that you like girls. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, you guys? To be a lesbian, you are a woman or a girl who likes other women or girls. Otherwise, you just like women. Pick one. If you're gonna be non-binary, then it's just you are non-binary and you like girls. Does that make sense? This is just basic definition now. Like, this isn't even to belittle this person. It's just basic definitions. Gatekeeping is toxic and regressive, you twats. It's just the definition of what a lesbian is. If you don't like it, then go complain about the definition. Respect us and educate yourself or leave us alone. It's not even like you can't like women, but you can't identify as a lesbian if you're non-binary. Unless you identify as, like, everything, I guess. Like, non-binary doesn't mean that you don't ascribe to any gender, but you ascribe to, like, multiple genders. But that also could mean that you're a lesbian or a straight man. You see how confusing this is for no reason, because we're just playing with the concept of identification? It's not even to belittle people on the basis of what they like or they don't like, or how they want to dress, or how they want to act, or how they want people to address them. It's literally just identification weirdness. It's very confusing is the problem. And I feel like with the LGBTQ, like, IA plus dealios, the problem is you're gonna have a lot of people who are like, anything can be anything, because everything is everything, and blah blah blah. Like, I can identify as literally anything, and there's no definition of anything, and everything's super subjective on the basis of like gender, sexes, sexualities, identifications, etc. So it's just gonna create like a discombobulated pool of confusion, because you're so against identification and identifying as certain things in this community that you're gonna create a massive amount of confusion because you're taking the definitions away from everything. Does that make sense? And again, it's like, do what you want, but this is why people are confused. You're just not making any sense. I just don't know how to explain this any more, like, simply. Like, I can't make this any more simple than to explain it like this, and yet it still doesn't make sense.
This is to the people that, have different gender identities than their birth gender. So if you're not them, just keep fucking scrolling. Just leave. Just go. Unless you want to watch this cat be cute, then yeah, go ahead. So if you are having gender identity problems and if someone keeps misgendering you, just fucking get a fucking pan somewhere. Not not a pansexual. Oh, unless the pansexual is your bodyguard, then go ahead. But get a pan from somewhere and just start just smacking them in the face with it. Just go ahead. Just fucking do it, because they don't deserve your kindness. They don't deserve you don't have to put up with those pieces of shit out there. If you are having a hard day and someone misgenders you, just beat them. It's good.
You know how insane that sounds? Like, the idea of physically assaulting somebody merely on the basis of being misidentified by them is absolutely atrocious. Do not trust what this person has to say. They are incompetent. That is the worst advice I've ever heard on any of these TikToks thus far. Honestly atrocious. Like, seriously, guys, there's so much more you can do that also is legal that you can do to hurt people, like use your words. Words are beautiful and violent in every way, shape, and form, without actually giving you a charge in most cases. So I'd recommend just being, like, brash and unforgiving in that regard, but don't physically assault people. In general, just destroy people's characters by tearing them apart verbally. This person's obviously super insecure and doesn't know how to deal with their anger. Or it's a joke. I don't know. But either way, I hope y'all enjoyed. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think about the non-binary subset of the LGBTQ community? We're gonna be going through more of this cringe because I do find it a little bit cringy, but also I genuinely am trying to understand what this level of logic is and like what the issue is here, because most of this seems to stem from just not liking what people are calling you or not liking how you're being categorized, but not even giving yourself a categorization. So, I don't know. It's very interesting. Tell me what you think in the comments below, my people, and I hope you all enjoyed. It has been lovely, and I'll see you all next time. Slater.